Hi there, it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you very much for joining me again today. Today I have this lovely box. It is a 4-inch square base and it's 2 inches deep. It's made using the Under the Mistletoe papers, which are on page 95 in our catalogue. It's a gorgeous, stunning suite. And the papers do not just have to be used for Christmas, because Stampin' Up being Stampin' Up, realise that you want to have choice. So we have got Christmas, so we've got reindeer, but we've got a plaid, we've got spots, we've got a Christmas, we've got Christmas, we've got a plaid, we've got a kind of swirly, we've got Christmas, we've got Christmas, we've got a plaid, etc, etc, etc. So it's a really versatile suite, so don't just think of it as Christmas. It does come with the lovely Mistletoe Season stamp set, or I say come with, this is obviously an option. It's only £16, it's very easy 2-step stamping. So this is the tag that I've made, and I've just used these 2 stamps here in Old Olive stamped off, and then the Merry Christmas I've used Night of Navy over the top to make a little tag. And this is a sneak peek of something that's coming in August, which I will cover later. And then I've just added 3 of these red rhinestone jewels. They come in a pack of 220. They are all the same size. They're this lovely little small size. And then you could use the real red cotton ribbon, but I decided that as I was making my box out of Night of Navy, because this is one of the colours that is in the paper. I don't know if you can see, if I come very close, very slowly, these little dots here are Night of Navy. So it's a subtle background Night of Navy colour. So it's not, there's not an obvious amount of Night of Navy, which is why I wanted to pick it out. So I've just used the Night of Navy gingham ribbon that was in the last annual catalogue and is carried over to this year. And then the medium Night of Navy baker's twine. So really simple, really easy, and really cute. And of course you can get lots in there. So I'm going to make the same but different. And this time I am going to use the Petal Promenade, or Promenade, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Again, a beautiful suite. It is stunning. I mean, this would be amazing for brides. So you've got kind of marbled backgrounds. You've got this lovely rich, which is actually, this is the paper we're going to use, this rich kind of dark pinks and white. This lovely basic rose. It's like a dog rose. And the back of that is, again, a sort of marble. Then we've got just a brush and these lovely frames, which you can fussy cut. This amazing sort of copper bronze foil, except it's printed. Just looks so real. And again, some frames, another sort of marble, this really pretty pink flowers. And these are actually taken from real photographs. These are real flowers. This is a kind of bokeh background, and again more flowers. So they photographed. There is a YouTube video. If you go to the Stampin' Up channel, they have their own channel, and there is a very short video that shows you how they made the paper. It is just amazing. So these are real flowers. So as I say, we're going to make one using this paper. The suite itself comes with all sorts of bits and pieces, the beautiful Promenade stamp set, which I actually don't have, and the matching framelets, which are the beautiful, there's Thinlet dies, and there's an envelope liner that you can use to go in your envelopes, strangely. But as I say, one I haven't got. I know there aren't that many, but this is one of them. I will be using a slightly surprising stamp set, I think, for that. Anyway, let's get started. So, oh, I should say that both of those papers are in the buy 3 get 1 free offer that's on at the moment. So don't miss out on that. It's until the end of this month. So, bringing in the scoreboard, I have cut a piece of fresh fig at 8 inches square. You are left with a tiny weeny bit off the side of your cardstock. If I bring in the Night of Navy one, that's the bit you trim off the sides, and then you have that amount of the other piece. So this is from an A4, yes, an A4 sheet. So we are just going to score at 2 inches all the way around. Because this is a box, I am going to turn my card. I like to turn my card rather than going 2 and 6, just in case I haven't cut totally square. And if I do 2 all the way round, I know that this is going to be 2 inches. Right, paper. I have cut the paper so that we get this really neat, where have I put my box? There it is. So we get this really neat fit. I have cut my paper 1/16 of an inch larger than my card. So if I pop that on, you can see that there is just this tiny, if I bring this up, you should be able to see there is this tiny little piece here that's showing. That is 1/16 of an inch, and that gives you just enough that you have enough, that this is just enough, slightly bigger than the base, which gives you just enough for it to be a really neat finish, particularly as we're going to reinforce the lid, because we're going to fold some of the paper in underneath. So it's actually going to be slightly fatter, but it does save the whole putting a piece down the side. I mean, I have a piece of card that has got some multi-purpose glue on it that's kind of, it leaves it tacky, so I could put that there, but this is just such an easy way of doing it. So yeah, so we are going to score at 3/4 of an inch and 2 inches all the way around, and that means that we get that nice little drop on the lid rather than it going all the way to the base, and then it gives us a little bit to just to flip in underneath. All of this will become apparent when we make the box. So I have to say, I know it's July and I'm making Christmas stuff, but for demonstrators, Christmas starts next month, so I kind of need to get my head around it. I'm going to start with the base of the box, just because I want this to start kind of setting, because I'm going to use liquid adhesive, because now we don't have fast fuse. We could use tear and tape. I like tear and tape, but it's a bit too definite for me. So the liquid adhesive gives just that little bit of wiggle room. Now I'm going to cut this so that it's kind of like a Catherine wheel. So rather than having both flaps coming in at one end, I'm going to have a flap on each side. It will become apparent what I mean. So I'm wedging off that side, and then I'm going to cut up on the inside of the score line, and then cut the score line away. And it's just a little wedge. I mean, you can take a big wedge, and then I'm going to do that all the way around. So as I say, I'm going to end up with a thing that looks a bit like a Catherine wheel, or one of those paper windmills that we used to make as kids that you'd pin onto a stick. It's that sort of look. But I just like the finish of it. You could just do cutting in and coming across, but because this is 4 inches and this is 2 inches, you may end up with a bit in the middle that kind of doesn't know quite what it wants to do. So to the inside of the score line, and then cut away the wedge, cut away the score line. So yes, so for demonstrators, Christmas starts next month, because we get the autumn winter catalogue to buy from. And of course, because we're demonstrators, we get to buy from it at a discount, and we can start preparing our Christmas and autumn, because it's an autumn winter catalogue. So it's not just Christmas and those sorts of things, it's autumn. So don't just think it's Christmas. It makes it feel a bit better if it's not just Christmas. Right, so that's what we've got, and I'm just going to bring in my liquid adhesive, and then I'm not going to add a huge amount. I'm just going to scribble there and then have a line on that edge, because that's going to join up there, and it just means that I know that that's going to join up nicely. And then what I tend to do is, whoops, is not that, I tend to pop it on my work surface and then make sure that the cut edge at the bottom here is square to that surface, because then you know that you've got a square box. Otherwise you can end up with it not being completely square. So we repeat that on all 4 sides. It gets slightly trickier as you go round, but it's fine. I say trickier, I mean it just, obviously you've got more box to deal with and less flat paper. And then just to make sure that you're spreading it nicely, you can just kind of use the card to manipulate the glue. Whoops! Spinning box. So I really can't sort of hold it all the time so that you can see, unfortunately, because we are making a box. So, whoops. Just slide that so we've got a nice covering of adhesive. And then the last one, which is the most cack-handed to do, and this is where you just have to get your glue into the box and deal with it really. And then I can hold that back while I just add a little bit of adhesive down that edge, and then, as I say, I can spread that just by moving that edge backwards and forwards a bit so that the glue spreads out, and then hold it down, and there we go. Now I have my old school ruler, which I do like using my bone folder to get in, but actually, because this has got a square end, it's quite a good thing to use to just press all those flaps down, and because it's got a square end and square sides, it's quite good at just making sure everything stays square. Right, so that's that. Okay, lid on there. So we've already scored our piece of paper, and again we're just going to burnish, and this is where the bone folder is an absolute boon. It's lovely to have a proper bone folder, one that doesn't get all chewed up. I've got an old one which I now use just to re-ink my ink pads, and because it was made out of plastic, it's horrible. It stains really badly, which this, if you get alcohol, rubbing alcohol, you can just get any stains off. But it stains, it dents, it's horrible. Ugh. Nice bone folder, good. Right, now which is going to be the easiest side? Probably neither. Okay, so the first thing I do is I wedge into that 3/4 inch flap, because that we want to make sure we keep in place. So I tend to do this first. That way I know I've got it done and I don't need to worry about it. And you know me, if something's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong on camera. So let's try and reduce the odds. Okay, so again, I'm going to do a Catherine wheel. So I need to cut on the inside of a score line and then wedge out. Now you can get rid of all of this and just use this square here. I actually like to keep it all, so I'm going to wedge all of that, and I know that's got a crease in it, but you know what, once it's glued down, it's going to be fine. It's not going to know. So we're doing that all the way around. So wedge out there and cut straight and wedge. Wedge, cut straight and wedge. Wedge. Cut straight. And wedge. So let's get rid of those bits because we don't need them. Let's throw them on the floor. That's a really clever idea. Okay, so that's what we have got. So as I say, Catherine wheels again. So we're going to ignore these flaps to begin with. And all we're going to do is go round and again with a very small amount of our adhesive, we are going to, and I'm going to do this all in one go, we are going to add adhesive to all of our flaps. Don't worry too much if you don't get it all covered, because that's where the flap comes in. So, starting with the first one that I did, we're going to just bring those up, and again we're going to just make sure that that is square. And again, I'm going to just ease that in so I've got a good covering of adhesive, or I would do if I had it squarer. There we are. And just push it all in place as you go, and again just push that in place, and the last one. And by doing it this way, you need to do it reasonably quickly, but it does mean that you don't have to worry about where your adhesive is going. And then again in with either your bone folder or your old school ruler. And I'm trying to work out when I actually got this. Was I in middle school? I think I probably got this ruler when I was about 10, so it must be about 50 years old. No, good grief, no, no, I'm not that old yet. It's about 47, 48 years old, I think, but I can't remember. Anyway, so that's our basic lid, and then all we've got to do is add the flaps. Just make sure that everything's... So I like to fold them out because again I'm going to do, well actually I'm going to do these probably one at a time, and I'm just adding the smallest amount of adhesive. Can you see? I don't know if you can, but it is the smallest amount of adhesive, and then pop it in and just rub it down, and then move on to the next one. And again, and it doesn't matter whether you do it left, you know, long ways or short ways. All you're doing is just adding a little bit of adhesive and folding it in. And again. A little bit of adhesive and fold it in. And last one. And this helps to just make sure that everything keeps body and soul together, and because we've done that Catherine wheel, it gives extra strength to the lid, because it means that all four sides have got that extra bit of reinforcement in the corner, so you haven't got two sides that are particularly stiff and two sides that are particularly loose. I'm sure I did do that side, but just in case. So that's that. Now, here's the moment of truth. How is that for a snug fit? And that's because we added that extra 1/16 of an inch. 1/16, that's tenths. 1/16 of an inch, that's twelfths, here we go, is that much. So it's between that long line there and where my fingernail is. It's a tiny weeny teeny amount, but it makes all the difference. If you did it exactly the same size, it would be, incredibly difficult to get the two pieces together and almost impossible to do that. If you did 1/8 of an inch, it would be too much. So the easy way, and there's no fiddling about with bits of folded card or any of that malarkey when you do the scoring. So let's tie a ribbon round first. I've chosen Fresh Fig, and I've got as my basic colour, and I've got the, now what do we call it? I want to say mini ruffled, yes, mini ruffled ribbon, which is new in the catalogue. So we'll pop that around, probably want a little bit more. There we go. And then cross that over at the top, go underneath. I'll straighten it all out in a moment. And then, whoops. And then just cut a piece off. Okay, so to do it that way around, I think. No, I wanted to. I used to be indecisive, and now I'm just, you know, now I'm just not very bright. Okay, so I haven't even got to tying the bow yet. Right, let's tie our bow. Just make sure we're reasonably square, which we are, and then tie our bow. And as I say, I'm going for that really opulent look with the rich fresh fig as the main colour. There we go. Let's just trim that at a jaunty angle. Okay, so as ever, the next thing to think about is what you're going to stamp for your tag. So let's turn this over and have a look at the colours. We have got Blushing Bride, Fresh Fig, Grapefruit Grove, Highland Heaven, Mossy Meadow, Petal Pink, Sahara Sand, Smoky Slate, Tranquil Tide, Very Vanilla and Whisper White. So lots to choose from. I am definitely going to use Fresh Fig for my words, and I'm tempted to go Tranquil Tide, which I know is going to sound odd, but who knows, it may not work, but it may. So I'm going to use Whisper White card. This is just a scrap I have hanging around, and I'm using Enjoy Life. And I'm going to use the Thank You Kindly as my main words. So let's get that out. And I'm going to use the kind of floral wildflower stamp for my background. So I want a D block, I think, for that, and probably a B block for this. Yep. And because I can see through the block, I'm not too worried about lining it up straight perfectly on the block, because I can do that separately. So I've got a piece of scrap, which is the scrap I used for the previous for the sample that I made. So I'm going to use Tranquil Tide. I'm just going to test how many layers of stamping it off I need. Let's get rid of the ribbon, because that's going to get in the way. So let's ink up our wildflower background and do 1, 2, I think only 2, let's do, no, I'm going to go 3. Okay, I'm going to go 3. So I'll pop that there. Okay, let's find a, I've got maths from a previous project on this, so I don't really want to lose it, but right, okay, 1, 2, and actually I'll go that way. 1, 2. Good. That's kind of the effect I was looking for. Ooh, bit stiff. And now Fresh Fig, which I will use full strength, and just check that that's stamping nicely, which it is. And we will have right in the middle, thank you kindly. And then sneak peek time. So next month we have got the blended seasons coming out, and with them you've got the stitched seasons framelets, which there are 10 dies, I know, because it says so on my piece of magnetic sheet. This is my new storage solution. It's not original, but it does make perfect sense. Keep your framelets with the stamp set, then you don't have to find two things, you only have to find one. These are the most amazing dies. So, you know the stitched shapes framelets already, and you will see that this is the die that I used before, and we've got this lovely stitched edge to it. But when I cut this, we're going to see a bit of magic. So I'm just going to pop this over to my Big Shot and die cut that out. And then I will show you the magic. Right, okay. So we have got our stitched edge. Can you see that? I think you may be able to see just here we've got the stitched edge. I'm going to leave my hand there so that we don't have to worry about focus too much. Can you see that there's also a stitched edge here? So you can have the stitched edge on the outside of your frame. Good grief, we're at 26 minutes. Right, okay, let's finish, because we nearly have. Right, this 1/8 hole punch, and I'm just going to punch a hole there and grab some, I had some white, Whisper White, there we are, buried. Right, Whisper White Baker's Twine, which I'm just going to de-kink and add to my tag. Add to my tag, honest I am, and then we're done. Oh, come along. It's because I now know that I'm running out of time on my camera. The thing with my camera is that if I don't touch it for a while, it thinks I've gone to sleep. So it goes to sleep. So it's just a bit temperamental like that. So let's just tie that in a knot and chop the end off, and there we are. Where are we? 27 minutes. Okay, just enough time to add a couple of the artistic, share what you love, artisan, sorry, gems, pearls even, and I'm just going to I think these are rich raspberry, and this is where I would be easier with my piercing tool if my piercing tool had a point, but as I dropped it on the floor it currently doesn't, because I've got another one on the way and I can't wait because I'm hating not having a pointed thing. So there we go. Let's clear the decks a bit. That's a ridiculously long video for a box, but there we go. Two really pretty boxes, each of them 4x4 by 2 inches, really pretty, really lovely, same box, different paper. So do remember, we've still got the buy 3 get your 4th free. Hop over to my online store, which has got a link immediately below. Well, if you go over to my blog, which is immediately below, you will find that, and you'll also find the dimensions for this there as well. Thank you very much indeed for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!